Good morning, guys and girls. Hope everybody is doing well. It's Wednesday. We've got 3 full trading days remaining, 6 nice sessions if we exclude the Asian session, which I know most people are asleep for. And I just wanted to kind of run through my thoughts on the charts this morning, because this morning gives me a little bit of anxiety based on how the daily candles really are looking. So I'm just going to kind of do things a little bit differently for you this morning, and maybe some of you will pick up some additional techniques. And I'm just going to run through kind of what I do first thing in the morning before I go and jump onto the markets and before I even consider placing a trade. So as you can see here on my watch list, I have this kind of unsure, bearish day, bullish day. So what I actually do is I jump onto the daily time frames and I have a look at the previous day's candle. Obviously, I've already got my weekly bias, so I already know whether or not we should be moving bullish or bearish anyway. But based on that based on that daily candle that happened before, will give me an insight in whether we can expect continuous movement in the same direction as yesterday, whether we have something in the way that's potentially stopping that, and therefore that might go into my unsure section. Or if we look at a bearish example, for example, gold, we had a nice strong bearish day yesterday. So what can we expect? We can potentially expect this kind of pullback into this region, which is where we've got to so far. And then we can maybe expect that low to be broken today. So it just gives me that kind of daily bias to make sure that if I come across gold and I look on the smaller time frames where I'm looking at focusing on placing trades, it will just make me think twice if I'm looking for a short position, basically. If I'm looking for a long position, it will make me think twice, because I've already marked this as a potential bearish day. So I have to kind of expect that what could happen is what's happened here, which is where we've got to a certain point, which was actually our previous day's, one of our previous day lows, which will be this low here, right? And then we have rejected. So that could absolutely happen again. Then it will, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, well, during the early hours of this morning, we did spike into this region here, which was this consolidative area. And that's what I'm doing on a daily basis. So I'll just go through all of the markets on the daily, and I'm just going to explain to you why it's a little bit choppy for me. So we had a nice bearish, ignore obviously these lines, these are just my hourly levels, this is what I'll go through in a second. But on the dailies here with Dow Jones, again, I would naturally expect bullish movement to continue, because we've had nothing but bullish trend on Dow Jones for a little while. But yesterday just causes a little bit of concern, because what we would have liked to see yesterday is actually us not reject this high but break this high. The second thing is it's only 9:50 in the morning for me, which means it's 6:50 in the morning for you, and we have already had quite a move. Okay, we've already had quite a move due to the Asian session and the figures that came out. I think mainly for Aussie and NZD. So yeah, it's just to so this alone, absolutely, I'm still going to potentially look for a bullish day. But then what I'm also going to do is just be a little bit cautious if we see some levels start being broken. So we had this big gap this morning, 1 o'clock my time, which is 10 o'clock your time in the UK. And we haven't really fulfilled anything yet either. And this is kind of what I my internal dialogue whilst I'm looking at these charts. So obviously, I'm noticing that we've got some sort of a gap going on here, which could absolutely be filled today, and that might then ensure that we continue that bullish move. But I'm also looking at this and thinking, well, we haven't quite tapped into this order block yet. Now, the hourly levels, what I do, okay, are key points. And you'll see that the market reacts from these really, really nicely. I actually had a sell from this region yesterday after this huge, strong bullish move, right? Because these hourly levels come into play quite a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the swing points. I'm looking at where the resistance is created. And remember, resistance being created means bullish candle with a bearish candle following afterwards that then continues that move, or vice versa. Bearish candle with a bullish candle that then continues that move. So these become my levels of interest. So I then use these throughout the day when I'm doing much shorter term trades to think to myself, right, if I'm looking for a short position here, I know that we've got an order block here and I know we've got an hourly level here. So I would potentially look at this kind of move, but I wouldn't necessarily start chasing these huge, these much bigger moves, especially when overall on the daily and the weekly we are still bullish. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you, and you'll see as we go along how nice the market respects these levels, okay? So yeah, that's my thought process on US 30. So it's just something that we just need to be cautious of more than anything. Sorry, I don't want the music in the background to be too loud. Now we also have a nice gap here. We have a nice bearish trend, nice clean range. So if we do break out above this high, yes, I can expect this move to happen first, and maybe this one won't. But it's just about putting everything on these charts that's going to help you ensure that you make the right decision at the right time. So that's my US 30. Now the one that causes me a lot of concern is DAXI, because DXY, as we know, affects a lot of markets, right? If dollar is bullish, then we can expect that Aussie dollar, NZD will potentially be weak. We can expect Euro will potentially be weak, or at least weaken if we see that continuous move, and so on and so forth. You guys know this already, so I'm not going to go over it again. But this candle, okay, this candle is a little bit frightening, okay, because we are overall in a bear trend. Yeah, we've also come to a level which, in my opinion, I'd probably use this candle here, which is precisely where we have rejected yesterday. So today could actually be the beginning of that potential rejection, right? Again, it does depend on, I think we've only got one decent bit of news today, which is at 6 o'clock my time, so maybe 3 o'clock your time. So normally I would look at this and I'd say, right, yeah, we're in a bullish trend, we've had another bullish candle, but this wick is quite frightening because the wick is at a point that causes concern for me, basically. And this is what I always tell people when I've been talking to a lot of you guys lately about managing your trades. If you're at a point of significance and the market rejects from it, you need to listen to what the market is telling you, and you need to react accordingly. And that, if that means coming out of your position with 0.7 risk reward to stop yourself falling all the way back to break even because the market is showing you signs that it's potentially going to reverse, then you have to do that. There's no point hoping. There's no point hoping. So anyway, so that's USD. So again, the daily one frightens me a little bit, and because this daily one is like this, as we know, it can affect so many other markets. So that's why today is not going to be a day where I'm going to be looking for huge targets. Okay, it's not going to be a day where I'm looking for 50, 100, 150 pips. It's probably more of a case that I'll just be a short-term scalper today from level to level. If I go into the hourly time frame, again, you can see I've just got these areas marked out that I seem significant, or I believe are significant or important. So I've got this one here. The reason why some people might look at this and say, well, why don't you have this one and why don't you have this one? Well, the main reason is because if we break this level, we have this really nice clean range here. So I'm going to consider this as being my first level that I'd like to see the market get to. It is also 101. On the where we are at the moment on the 102.13, again, I've got this level marked out here. This is a previous hourly level, which is from here, which is, as you can see, this order block. This is the top of that order block, and that's where we've rejected from as well. That's where we've rejected from this wick. So you see how all of this lines up to me being a little bit concerned of whether or not we're going to continue to get that bullish momentum come through, or whether we might actually begin that reversal today. So that's what I'm focusing on. All this move kind of happened after hours yesterday, so it's just quite interesting. And again, you can see my levels marked out, what I'm focusing on, where I'm focusing on them. And if I'm looking at short positions, when I get to these points, I'm gonna act, accordingly. I'm gonna be smart about it. I'm not gonna say, right, yeah, I'm gonna take this short and I'm gonna come all the way down to 100.5, because a big move like that probably needs some sort of news to help it get there, right? So let's just have a look at the rest. So we've done US30, we've done DXY. So Euro Aussie, I would have expected bullish moves because I've got this level here and I've got this level here, which are daily and hourly levels. But we've already done that today now, and now we're coming up to resistance. So this is going to be a difficult market to trade because we don't have much scope on the upside. What I would need to see is I'd need to see that kind of retracement again into these areas first. But if we reject this upper level and then we retrace in there, my question is going to be, well, actually, we've reached this daily resistance zone. Are we really just going to go pop and you know, retrace and straight back up? So there's so much sort of uncertainty, in my opinion, today. So I'm just running you through these. I'm not really giving you a full bias because, as I said, my bias is also a little bit skewed. Expect bullish movements on GBP Aussie dollar after yesterday, but what have we had? We've already had that happen, and now we are in major liquidity. We scroll back, we haven't hit these levels for a long time by the looks of it. Yeah, we haven't reached these levels since May 2020, since COVID times. So could we see a little bit of a sell-off? Yeah, we could. Is it going to happen straight away? Well, according to the hourly, according to the 4 hourly, according to all of it, no, because we're still bullish, but it's something to be cautious about, okay? Again, I've got my hourly levels marked on there. I mean, EA, GA, probably not ones I'd be too interested in getting involved in today. EJ, so let's just jump onto the daily. So EJ is not too bad, okay? EJ is not too bad. We've had continuous bullish movement now for 3 days, very strong bullish pressure. That pressure is slowing down, but of course it's because we've now got some serious resistance coming above us. But the structure of the candlesticks and everything so far, with a little bit of room above of at least 50 to 100 pips, that gives me an insight that, yeah, okay, I'm quite happy to still consider buys on Euro JPY. If I go onto the hourly time frame, you can see the levels that I've got marked out. Okay, I've got this level, which is quite a strong level because we rejected here. We then rejected it from the upside here. So this region here would be where I'd be looking and focusing on if I was to look at buys. Okay, this area here. So this one's fine. Okay, Euro JPY is fine for me. Again, I'm going to be keeping my eye out on how we react to these levels, because if we just smash through them again, with DAXI changing its mind potentially midweek, a lot of other things could change its mind. Okay, if we look at gold, now gold is lovely for potential short opportunities based on the daily candles. But if we also look, every time we had this strong candle into liquidity, we had that 2 candle pullback. Strong candle into liquidity, and then what's to say we don't have a two candle pullback at least? So this is what I mean about just a lot of uncertainty at the minute. So it just makes trading today, in my eyes, just a little bit more difficult than normal. A little bit more of 50-50s in terms of those longer term moves. In the short term moves, yeah, we can play level to level, no problem. Again, as you see on this hourly time frame, I've got my levels marked out. Hopefully you can see why I've got these regions marked out. They're just what's surrounding the price. They're just where I'm noticing the market is reacting from. If I was to do a long position, I'd expect the market to come to this kind of 1952. If we break that, I'd expect the market to come to this 1956 and so on and so forth. So I'm just marking these out so that I can see how the market reacts from these levels, right? Now, GU is probably the only one that looks really nice, and it kind of depends about EJ and GU so far. It does depend on how DAXI moves, but we have still got that. We've got that bearish move. We haven't got too much of a wick just yet, but we have grabbed into liquidity. Okay, we have grabbed into this kind of this area here. So again, it does come. All of them are just looking a little bit choppy, in my opinion. Now, I'm hoping to see further bearish moves on GBP USD. I've got all my levels marked out, and then if we were to break this level, I'd be focusing on so you might ask me, well, what area would you focus on if we break that level? Well, we've got a kind of support here, we've got a support here, we've got support here, we've got potential order block here. So it's again quite choppy. I just take things one step at a time, and I would highlight this top of this order block because that's where we've supported here, and I'd highlight these low closures here as well. And that then gives me kind of two potential downside targets, which biggest one is about 70 pips, smallest one is about 35 pips. Okay, so that's GU. If we go on to DAX, so DAX was a lovely daily bearish candle to continue that move into these regions, but unfortunately we've already done that today. So again, just something to be, fully aware of. Hourly time frame, my next level is going to be just roughly around here, which is 35 pips away from where we are, and then we have our kind of key round figure down here of about 16,000, which I can see being tapped into. Okay, I definitely can see that being tapped into. So, but again, we're quite low, so we're not in an area of discount. If we look at Japanese yen, so we would have expected bearish moves to continue today, but what has happened before we've even woke up? Well, we've actually, this last candle yesterday was straight into liquidity, and now we've had a big reaction from that region. Where could we go? Well, on the daily time frame, I guess we could go all the way up to 7115. If we go into the hourly time frame, we have got this region for me would be my first sort of point of interest, and then this order block and this region for me would be my second. So we could see we could actually see that yen pick up some steam today, because if we look down here, we've got this potential accumulation, right? We've got this accumulation here, which is somewhat known as a Wyckoff formula, but essentially what it shows is that the buyers are coming into control at this point, right? We also have this nice clean range up here all the way to this region, so potentially we could see, and this is what I mean, we could then say that, well, we were bullish on Euro JPY from these regions, and that's what would potentially stop me from wanting to jump in at that point because of my bias over here on JPY, right? And this is how everything kind of lines in with one another. Everything synchronizes. It's not just about looking at one chart and going, yeah, okay, I've got my entry style, let's go. It's about the whole picture, the bigger picture, the higher time frames, right? DAXI I've already done. Euro USD, I've got that marked as an unsure because yesterday we had a bearish candle but a big wick from the lows and liquidity, and today we've had a bullish candle so far all the way up to here. So we're kind of trapped, to be honest. We're kind of trapped in this little range here on Euro USD, and therefore that's why I'm kind of thinking that I'm not too sure what to do with Euro USD today. If we look at GJ, again, we've come into this order block. We had nice bullish move and bullish trend, and now we've got that break of the low here. Okay, now we've got the break of yesterday's daily low. We've got JPY strength potentially showing on JPY basket. We've got GU potentially showing us further moves to the downside. So you see GBP weakness and Japanese yen strength kind of makes sense to be selling this market. Okay, it kind of makes sense. We had this range, right? We had this range that we've been in for this week so far, and we've actually just now broken out of that range. On the hourly time frame, we have we closed below? Yeah, on the hourly time frame, we have closed below the lows of the range. So, everything kind of is showing a little bit of a shift today, which is quite interesting. Obviously, I've got my hourly levels marked out. My next one would have to be this kind of region here. So if I did find an opportunity for shorts, which is probably about now, to be honest, for me, the way that I enter, is looking for those potential moves. But if we get if we get, let's take it on the hour, right? Because the hour we had the closure below this range. If we get an hourly candle that closes back inside this range, I would want nothing to do with this anymore. Okay, that would be the end of it for me, because I know that if we close back in that range, it could be a fake out, right? So that is GJ, and then finally let's have a quick look at EN. So EN, bullish candle yesterday. Kind of, I wouldn't necessarily have gone, yeah, we're absolutely bullish today, but the news has managed to shift this. And the reason I wouldn't have done that is just because of what was above us. We have this kind of resistance area here, but we've smashed through that after news, and now we've kind of moved into this daily region here. So again, same with this move has already occurred today. We probably don't want to even think about getting involved into something like this. Because we've already moved, look, 0.82% today alone, which is obviously a huge move. Okay, so we have moved 1.7828 to 1.8, nearly 200 pips before the UK sessions even started, and we're now in this area, this zone, which becomes risky again. So it's all about kind of managing that risk and ensuring that you're looking at all aspects, all time frames, and coming up with where are those potential valuable areas to buy and sell. That's the first thing. And number two is what's the daily telling me? What is the daily telling me? What's in the way? And the biggest thing, and the reason why I wanted to do this video for you guys, is the USD, the DXY rejection candle. What's to say? Okay, what's to say? There's obviously two things can happen. We're either going to go up and fill this wick, okay, and that will mean that GU will fall nicely, etc., etc. But we could wick this wicked region because we are at an area that interests me, and then we could actually see a break of this low, and we could actually see a potential continued downside move, right? So that's just what I'm thinking. That's just what I'm cautious of. Doesn't mean that I'm bearish on it yet, because I think you guys know I like to see that bearish candle come through first, whether it's on a weekly or a daily. And if we look on the weekly on DXY, we've already broken the high, and we've already got to this previous low level as well. So yeah, I'm going to send that there for you guys. I hope you find it useful and helpful. And I'm really happy because I have... you guys will know that I used to really struggle with doing these videos because my computer used to really slow up, and I've realized what it was this whole time. It was because I was using the TradingView application, the downloaded file. So now I'm on Safari, because Safari seems to be quicker than Chrome. I don't have any issues jumping across markets and timeframes and all sorts, so it makes things a lot easier for me. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a good week so far. As always, if you've got any questions, you know where I am. And yeah, I hope you find it useful, guys.